3, 2, 1, and we are live. What's going on, Drop It fam? If you've never lost weight before and gained it back, do not listen to this episode. This episode is only for those of you that have lost weight, quit, gained it back faster than you lost it, or slowly over time. If that's you, grab a pen and grab a paper because I'm going to be walking you through 15 reasons why you keep gaining the weight back and always will unless you start implementing these changes. Before we get into that, if you're new here, hi, I'm Nick. In 2019, I lost 110 pounds on something that I call the common sense diet. Every single year before that for my entire life, I lost and gained back 70 plus pounds on every diet known to mankind. I make this podcast for those of you that are fed the fuck up with the way that things are, ready to actually put obesity behind you, and are consumed by wishing that your life was different, the control that food has over you, and seeing the world through the lens of your obesity and the insecurity that you feel in your body. So if you relate to that and you're done losing weight and you're ready to actually heal this part of your life, buckle up. Because reason number one why you keep gaining the weight back and always will, unless you start implementing some of these changes, is that you're changing your food, but you're not changing your reason for eating it. You don't have clarity on why you're eating the food in the first place. So you might change the quality or the quantity of your food, eat less calories, or eat some higher quality food. You should be doing both, but you're not really getting clear on why you were eating bullshit food in the first place. And a really simple way to get clear on this is to ask yourself the question, why am I eating this food? And that sounds so simple because it is, and it's kind of common sense, but we've lost touch with that common sense. When you have an urge to eat junk or you're eating junk food, ask yourself the question, why am I eating this food? What emotion is underneath my urge to eat this food? What you'll find is that most of the time, it's some version of boredom, stress, depression, sadness, anger, or on the polar opposite end, excitement, love, joy, pride, happiness. Whatever it is, it's typically some level of emotion that you are either extremely, extremely uncomfortable or unsafe with or don't feel worthy of. When you start asking yourself, why am I eating this food? You can start getting clear on what your path looks like to actually better your relationship with food and not feel so controlled by it in the long run. No amount of just changing your calories or just changing your food alone is going to result in permanent change. Weight loss is an outside-in game, meaning I change my exercise, I change my foods, I lose weight. Sustainable weight loss is an inside-out game, meaning I change the way that I relate to the food, my belief systems, and my own sense of worthiness. And as a result, I don't feel so controlled by these substances that I previously did before. And I feel like I'm already living at my weight loss goal because I'm so clear on how I want to live and I'm doing it right now and food doesn't control me. Sustainable weight loss is inside out, not outside in. And that's probably the biggest one for me because I would just change the foods I was eating, lose weight, lose 76 pounds on keto in 3.5 or 4 months, and then be like, oh, well, I don't know. I just changed my food and now I'm not feeling very motivated anymore. Now I'm not very disciplined anymore, and things are hard. And then things get hard and you just come back to whatever you believe about yourself and gain all the weight back. The same way I did my whole life. And I know most of you have done some version of that as well, which is why you're still listening. Number two reason why you keep gaining the weight back and always will, unless you start implementing these changes, is you do it for external reasons. For me, even the last time that I lost weight, there were some external reasons built in there that I had to work through. But for a lot of men listening to this, we want to lose weight so that we can go impress women. For a lot of women listening to this, we might want to lose weight so that we can attract our male partner. We might want to lose weight so we can fit into a suit, to look better, to go get a job that pays more money. Whatever it might be, a really common one with my clients in the beginning is I want to lose weight so that I can be there for my family, because my family deserves. If you externalize your reason as your primary reason for losing weight, you're going to find that that external achievement can be found without weight loss. So an example here is I want to lose weight because my children deserve to be happy and have a happy mom. What you'll find is that you can actually have that same experience by taking them to Disneyland. They're going to be happy and you're going to be happy, and that'll be really bonding. And that's a bit of an extreme, kind of a weird example, but you need to do it for an internal reason, not an external reason. If it's about your kids being happy, there's other ways that you can make them happy. If it's about making more money, there's other ways that you can make more money that have nothing to do with your weight. If it's about attracting a partner, you can still attract partners even when you're fat, when you're in the right energy, right? So we don't want to give ourselves a reason to quit subconsciously. We want to do it for a deep internal reason, not an externally validated reason. Yes, we're all vain. We want to look better, feel better, be there for our families, whatever. But deeper than that, You want to know what it is like to feel like a healthy parent, to feel like a healthy grandparent, to feel like a healthy lover, to feel confident in your sexual and intimate life, to feel confident in your ability for your body to represent how you feel about yourself. I mean, that's a huge one, right? Feel the difference between I'm doing this because I want my body to be a representation of how I feel about my life and my own sense of worthiness versus I'm doing this because I want to lose weight because, I want to start dating again. It's like you're just externalizing shit. It's about you. It's not about anybody else. It's not about skinny privilege. It's not about how other people treat you. It's about what you want for yourself. And the moment that you start treating yourself better is the exact moment that other people start treating you better, is the exact moment that you start getting that skinny privilege and the things that you're putting off on the other side of hitting your weight loss goal. They all start happening the moment that you commit to your last day one ever. Literally, the moment it changes your energetic state and other people feel that and want to be around it. Do it for internal reasons before external reasons. Reason number 3 why you keep gaining the weight back and always will, unless you start making some of these changes, is that you think weight loss is going to make you happy. And this is a controversial one. Does weight loss make you happy? It's not even the right frame of looking at it through. The idea of losing weight to be happy doesn't make any sense because, again, there's other things that can make you happy. Like sitting down and watching your favorite show on Netflix is going to give you that same happiness jolt that you're going to get from seeing a number on the scale for a little bit to some degree, maybe a little less, depending on how scale obsessed you are. It's not about weight loss making you happy. It's about when you lose weight sustainably with something like the common sense diet system, you change your relationship to food and you clear up all of that mental space that you're putting towards wishing that you were skinny or healthy or not fat right now. So you spend 90+% of your time wishing that you weren't fat. And you think, if I was skinny, I would be happy. The actual truth is that if you weren't so obsessed with weight loss, you would lose weight in a more sustainable way where food was working for you instead of against you, and you wouldn't spend all of your time obsessed with cravings and calories and cheat meals and restarting and the insecurity that you feel in your body. So when you clear up all of that mental headspace, you can now put that headspace towards things that you actually care about, like your own life, your passions, your hobbies, where you are living, where you want to go travel, or at least have the energy to gain the awareness of what you want to do or what you want to spend your time doing, should you not already have those things in place. And that will make you happy. But what people don't tell you is that all the shit that you see online about people losing weight and then saying, well, it didn't make me happy. That's because they're just losing weight and not experiencing any internal transformation at all. They're still dealing with food noise. They're still dealing with cravings. They're still dealing with, oh my God, what about when life gets hard? I'm going to gain the weight back. What about when I'm not motivated? They haven't actually put the issue behind you. When you truly put the issue behind you, you gain awareness of all of these different parts of your life that you can't see right now around your own patterns, your own state of being, and what the fuck you're doing with your life. And that alone does not make you happy. A lot of the times it makes you sad because the things that you are hiding from, either consciously or subconsciously right now, from being fat and from being obsessed with food and all the food noise and cravings and all that, when that's gone, you're going to see shit that you don't want to see. And that can make you unhappy. That can make you disgusted with yourself. That can make you feel like, fuck, I liked it better when I was just, not thinking about it. Your ability to address the issues that come up when you gain the awareness of them from not being fat anymore is directly correlated to your happiness. Happiness doesn't come from losing weight. Happiness comes from addressing the things that you're hiding from consciously or subconsciously from your obesity and the way that you're eating. So for me, it's like I lost a lot of weight. I felt a lot of short term, like pride, and now I'm skinny. That's amazing. Now I can date. That's amazing. But what I also found was like, wow, I'm really deeply lonely. Like, I'm really alone. I didn't realize how alone I was. I didn't realize that I don't have quality friendships. And I knew it, but I didn't really feel it because I was drowning myself with food and sometimes booze and stupid shit like Netflix and scrolling all the time. And when I worked on all of those things, because they're all really deeply connected, then you're just with yourself. And if you don't like who you are, you're not going to be happy. If you're willing to then become the type of person that you like, then you will be happy. Sustainable weight loss is a journey of self-improvement and a mechanism of improving your own life and seeing parts of yourself that you cannot see when you're fat, or that it's much harder to see when you're fat. So does losing weight make you happy? It's not even the right question. Losing weight sustainably will clear up mental headspace, which will give you the awareness of parts of yourself that you don't currently see and are not willing to address or don't have the energy to address. And by sitting with the discomfort of working through those and changing, even after you lose weight, you will experience true happiness and true pride in yourself. Reason number 4, why you keep gaining the weight back, is you're focusing more on macros than food quality. This is like, oh my God. This is the biggest mistake that people make from just a purely what are you eating standpoint. Which one do you think makes more sense for sustainable weight loss? Eating 1,500 calories of protein burritos with protein pasta with like a small French fry because it fits inside of the calories, with one apple, with a protein shake, and then a protein bar after your workout with water and a Diet Coke. So that's 1,500 calories, and I'm going to just totally guess, and 120 grams of protein. I have no idea. Or 1,500 calories and 120 grams of protein of meat, fruit, rice, vegetables, potatoes, and dairy products. Well, Nick, I mean, I would lose the same amount on each one because it's the same amount of calories and the same amount of protein. You're smart for saying that. And you're right. The piece that you're missing is that one of them leaves you wanting more. One of them leaves you feeling like shit. One of them leaves you having cravings. One of them leaves you feeling just not full, but not really satiated when you're done eating. And then it turns into this like Saturday cheat meal thing. And Monday's always a restart. And every week you lose 3 pounds and then gain 2 back. But over the course of a year, you lose 50 pounds. But it was this up and down journey the whole time. And you're still living in the cycle. When you commit to eating whole, natural, and real foods in healthy portions, instead of just focusing on the macros, you're going to find that you don't have cravings, your food noise is substantially less, and you feel more like a human being. All the processed foods that we're eating, even when they're in our macros, it's not that they're fucking horrible for you, but they're not things that humans grew up as a species. Humans grew up. It's not worded properly. They're not things that humans were eating before 100 years ago or 110 years ago. And now we have all these weird diseases that we had never had before, and we all feel like shit. We don't know why. This is a major reason why. You got to eat like a human being. That's meat, fruit, rice, vegetables, potatoes, and dairy products. A great breakfast would be some Greek yogurt with some frozen fruit in there with some honey and another fruit on the side. Maybe 1 or 2 hard-boiled eggs. Boom. Amazing filling breakfast. A great lunch, an adult Lunchable. Turkey or chicken or some sort of deli meat slice that you like the taste of that is good in protein, with 1 to 2 ounces of cheese, couple hard-boiled eggs, couple pieces of fruit, maybe some celery. I'm not a big celery guy myself, with some hummus. Boom. Both of those meals, no cook, less than 3 minutes to assemble, are going to fill you the fuck up and make you feel really good after you eat them. And another amazing lunch might be rotisserie chicken on some lettuce with some cheese, with some kind of vinaigrette or sauce that you actually like, and fruit on the side. Get fruit with every single meal. Amazing dinner, chicken stir fry. Chicken, rice, frozen veg, fruit, or potatoes, or whatever. Amazing. Same thing with beef. You start realizing it's an equation. How can I throw together a great protein source with fruit and or vegetables with a great carb source? And when you eat like that for 3 days and don't starve yourself, you do not have any cravings. Most of you listening to this have never done that. Then you hear me talk about it and you're like, yeah, but I don't know, and then I do it for a day and I'm like, yeah, but this fits my macros. Just do it for 3 days. Commit to 3 days of eating whole and natural foods only. Just white knuckle it. You've been all strict and obsessive before. Let yourself be strict and obsessive over doing this for 3 days. Not starving yourself and eating only single ingredient foods or close to single ingredient foods. And you will find your whole life is different within 72 hours. Whenever you listen to this, look at the calendar. 3 days from now, your whole life can be different when you stop focusing so much on the macros and start focusing more on common sense, the quality of your food. Pausing this episode for 1 moment to give you all an update on my mom's journey. You've been asking for it. Here it is. She just hit 17 pounds down. She's gone from 209 to 192. She has no cravings. She's eating more healthy food than she ever has before. She has very stabilized energy levels, and she no longer has debilitating medical anxiety in and out of the ER with chest palpitations, feeling like shit, having heartburn, or taking a bunch of medication. She's literally saving her own life. She's not going to be on the show for some time because she's getting a cosmetic operation on her face that's going to take a few weeks or about a month for her to recover from. And she says, so much love to all of you. She says, you absolutely have what it takes to lose weight. She's excited to be back on the show soon. Let's get back to the show. Reason number 5 why you keep gaining the weight back is you're not familiar with your own patterns and you can't see the bigger picture. So an example of a pattern that came up with one of my clients recently, who I've only been working with for 3 weeks. We're 3 weeks into this journey together. And she starts going, I don't know. I realize I always quit at 3 weeks and I don't know why. I don't know why. It's like 3 weeks is always the point when I end up quitting. Like, okay, well, let's sit down, think about it, journal about it for a second. And she comes to the awareness on her own that it actually has a lot to do with her cycle, but she did not have the awareness of that pattern. So now it's okay. When I'm at this point in my cycle, that changes my cravings. The question to ask ourselves, the cravings and the type of food that we want in our hunger levels, which is totally natural, right? So the question that she's asking herself now is, what do I need? Well, I'm at this point in my cycle. I know that I'm going to need a little more food and I might have some more cravings. Instead of just going back to our old way of eating, pizza, chips, Doritos, ice cream, whatever it might be, whatever junk meals or cheat meals or restarting tomorrow meals we might be taking, let's just increase some of the quantity of the amazing quality food that we are already eating when it's that time of the month. And if you don't lose weight for 2 or 3 days, that's fine because there's 27 or 28 other days. And just because you're eating really healthy foods doesn't mean you need to lose weight every single day. Give yourself, if you're relating to that, give yourself the option of not being in a deficit for a couple days, depending on where you're at in your cycle. She gained the awareness of her pattern. She's implementing a plan to break the pattern, and now the pattern doesn't exist. And then later on down the road, other patterns might emerge, and we just go through the exact same process. When has this happened before? How can I gain the awareness? What do I need? How can I give that to myself? Here's my plan. Boom. Everything that comes up, that thought train will work. Example of another pattern might be whenever I eat bullshit food, I end up overdoing it and then eating less the next day to make up for it. And now I'm in the cycle of undereating followed by overeating because now I have cravings the next day because I skip breakfast, because I'm going to have a fasting morning or whatever. So that's a pattern. So the first thing is you need to gain awareness of that pattern. What is my pattern when I typically quit? When I eat one piece of pizza, I end up eating three, and then I feel guilt. The next morning, I skip breakfast. By the time I get to lunch, I'm so hungry, I overdo it, and then I'm in this underdo and overdoing cycle again. Okay, what do I actually need? What would a healthy person do? What a healthy person would do if they overate, because healthy people overeat sometimes within reason, is they would still eat breakfast the next day. They'd still just kind of wake up and eat a normal breakfast. Okay, so now what we need to do is build a reference point of what a healthy person would do, meaning that the next time we're in that situation, we're going to force the issue of eating breakfast, which is not popular in the eating disorder community or in the weight loss community in general, but that's because sustainable weight loss isn't really popular. Losing weight and gaining it back is really popular. That's why we keep doing it, right? We are going to train ourselves and give ourselves the reference point that there's nothing to make up for, that we can just continue with a normal day, and you will forget about it within 24 hours that you even had that pizza incident in the first place. What's your pattern? How can we gain the awareness of our pattern? What is our pattern? What do we need? Build the reference point of giving it to ourselves one time. You've beat the pattern forever, and now you'll never unsee it the next time that it comes up. Reason number 6 why you keep gaining the weight back is you are not clear on why you got so fat in the first place. So think about this. How did you get so fat in the first place? If you don't have the answer within 3 seconds, then you do not have the clarity that you need to put this issue behind you for good. It's totally different for everyone, but you might think something like, well, because I eat bullshit food. It's like, okay, but why have you eaten bullshit food? Get clear on what your childhood was like. For most of us, it comes down to some sort of childhood-related trauma. By trauma, it can be capital T trauma, meaning horrible, horrific things happened to me, or lowercase, middle case T trauma, which would be more like I was the middle child and didn't get hugged enough, so then I started eating. Capital T trauma might be I had something really bad happen to me. Someone did something bad to me. I didn't want them to do it again to my body. So then I ate a little more food and it made me feel safer because that person didn't want that thing from me anymore. That would be an example of capital T trauma. Capital T trauma might also be, well, my mom was always dieting growing up and she put me on these weight loss pills, or she had me eating salads with her when I was 14 because I had some meat around my hips. And then I just always associate. And then now we're living in that sort of pattern. It fucked you up forever, right? How did you get so fat in the first place? If you were a middle child, I noticed that the upper and lower childs, the older and younger childs, got more love and more hug from me, and I didn't get quite as much attention. So food made me feel this love that I didn't really feel outside of eating the way that I would have liked to. Whatever it is, you can work on giving yourself what you needed and actually healing that part of yourself once you figure out what it is. But you need to take the moment to take a deep breath and close your eyes and ask yourself, how the fuck did I start eating like this in the first place? And what you'll realize is that you've been existing in this pattern for your entire life. And the first step to breaking it is the awareness of how we got here. Number 7 reason why you keep gaining the weight back is you think you've got a food issue. I'm a fucking food addict. Who's ever said that, right? I'm a food addict. You're not a food addict. Food addiction is not even a real thing. There is no such thing as food withdrawal unless you cut out a food group. You might say, I'm a food addict. I eat pints of Ben and Jerry's every night. If you were to stop eating pints of Ben and Jerry's and instead start eating the same equivalent amount of fruit, you would have no withdrawals at all, not a single withdrawal. But if you stopped eating carbs and sugar altogether because you are a quote unquote ice cream addict, you would have extreme cravings and withdrawals that would make you feel like shit, giving you the belief that you are a food addict. Food addiction is not the same as alcohol addiction because the path forward to healthy living is to have a better, healthier relationship with food. The path forward through AA and alcohol addiction or cigarette addiction or porn addiction or whatever you may or may not be dealing with is abstinence, meaning you stop doing it. It's to not have a relationship with. When you use the language of addiction, you are creating this all or nothing mindset that leads to people doing weird fasting shit, leads to people on again, off again, and it leads to this cycle that just never ends. That's not to say that you might not be using food the way that people use alcohol every once in a while, or the way an addict might use a substance, but you are not a food addict. And when you drop the belief that you are not a food addict, you'll find that you will have a lot more clarity on what the problem actually is. Don't let yourself hide behind the food is my problem. Food is not your problem. You do not have a food issue. You have a why have you been eating this food issue and where are these urges really coming from in the first place issue. Right? An example of this might be, God, I hate my job. I'm so stressed. I want McDonald's. We eat McDonald's. Oh, God, I've just got a food issue. It's like, what is the real issue in that situation? And how does that relate to you? Write it down. Reason number 8 why you keep gaining the weight back and always will, unless you start implementing some of these changes. And this is probably the biggest one. You have not had your come to Jesus moment. You have not declared to the world, this is my last day one ever. You have not had your like, seriously, I'm fucking done. You've had a lot of like, yeah, I saw someone else do that thing and that worked, so I'm going to give that a try. No one's ever given it a try into permanent sustainable weight loss. Every single person that has done it has made a fuck you commitment to the world from love. Fuck you to the world from love. I no longer accept this for my life. And you can even hear the difference in the pacing of my voice and my tonality. This is the level of seriousness that you need to speak to yourself with. I'm fucking done. I refuse to die fat. I refuse to die fat. This is my come to Jesus moment. Hallelujah, amen. I'm going to save the world by saving myself from my own obesity so that I can actually create a world for myself that I want to live in and I don't feel like my life sucks so much anymore. When you have that conversation with yourself and you end up with this is my last day one ever, no matter what, you'll find that things just start falling into place. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize that with a simple process and me declaring it into the world, that things could come to me so easily. Ask the world, command the world to give you what you want, not a skinny body, inner peace and inner love, and to start treating yourself like somebody that actually loves themselves and feels worthy of being healthy. Because if you did, you would be. Reason number 9 why you keep gaining the weight back is you're not ready for the responsibility of being healthy. Is life easier when you're healthier? Well, it depends on your definition of easy. The future is a lot more amazing to look at, and there are absolutely privileges that come with being healthy. But deeper than that, the privileges come with feeling worthy of being healthy and taking the action. It's not that there's privilege because I am healthier. There's privilege because I've taken action of a healthy person over the course of the last 6 years consistently, regardless of how I felt. And over time, it has felt a lot easier. And when you start feeling more like a healthy person, you're going to find that things in life just completely fall into place. That being said, there is a certain responsibility with being a healthy person, meaning that I don't skip walks. I just don't, right? When I feel like shit, I do not go and eat McDonald's. I don't have the urge to do that, but there are certain times on my journey when I did. And now I have an expectation of myself that I do not do that. So I hold myself to a different standard now than I did when I was healthy. And this applies to everything in life, or you're going to fall back to your standards at the end of the day. When you have a higher standard for yourself, that means you are holding yourself to a higher standard than you were before. And that can be scary because that means you are no longer letting yourself off the hook, falling back into this low standard bullshit that we've been doing for our whole lives, right? There's a standard of excellence that you need to create for your life that is uncomfortable at times, specifically in the beginning. The piece that you need to understand is that it is significantly less uncomfortable than hating what you see when you look at yourself in the mirror. It's significantly less uncomfortable than your gut hanging on your partner when you're naked and not wanting to have sex with them and not wanting to be seen with the only having sex with the lights off once a month. Like that's discomfort. Standard of excellence is short-term discomfort, long-term self-respect and self-love. Being fat for me, I'll speak for myself, can't speak for everyone, is short-term satisfaction, long-term regret, and self-hatred and wishing that things were different. When you connect with what you actually want, you'll find that it is enough for you to raise the standard for yourself. There is a responsibility that comes with it, and you are fully capable of holding that responsibility. Reason number 10 why you keep gaining the weight back is your internal dialogue sucks. Like, sucks. Like, you might eat a piece of pizza and be like, "You fat fuck. You're not supposed to eat the pizza like that." It's like, what kind of internal dialogue is that? And what you'll find is that when you have that fat mind and that fat voice inside of you that's all consuming, followed by that, I want the pizza, that's the fat voice, the fat mind, followed by the don't eat the pizza, come on, you deserve better. That's the healthy, the loving mind, right? But there's a bunch of other voices and minds in there. You've got the don't fucking do it, you motherfucker voice in there. That's kind of like Captain Asshole voice. You get to choose which voice leads your soul and leads your whole. And you are not any of these voices. You are the person that is facilitating conversation between these voices. As you start consciously facilitating a conversation between the different parts of yourself, you'll realize that you get to choose which one leads. And you get to choose which one you listen to, or just create an entirely different voice if you would like to. And that can sound a little bit, that can sound kind of crazy, but it's not as crazy as just like succumbing to the voices in your head, succumbing to the parts of yourself that have been running the show for a long time. And it's time that we get clear on what those parts of ourselves actually need and start changing our internal dialogue. So when you feel a shitty internal dialogue of, God, I want the pizza. Come on, you deserve the pizza. And that can feel like the devil on your shoulder. Just ask yourself, what does that part of yourself actually need? You can literally say out loud, what do you need? Oh God, I need some love. I need some rest. Okay, let me give you what you need. Here's some rest. Here's some love. Here's some time outside. Here's a glass of water. Here's some healthy food. When you give that part of yourself what it actually needs, your internal dialogue will start changing. You'll become a lot more familiar with your internal dialogue. If you don't make those changes and start having those conversations with yourself, either out loud or just in your head, you will always be ran by your fat mind, and you will have a fat mind in a skinny body. You will always come back to whatever you believe about yourself and to whichever mind is running the show. It's not about hitting your weight loss goal and then figuring out how to keep it off. It's about figuring out how to have more control over your internal dialogue and belief systems and which voice in your head or part of yourself you're listening to while you are on the journey so that you can fully embody sustainable weight loss and sustainable living within just 5 or 6 weeks and already be mentally at your goal. Reason number 11 why you keep gaining the weight back is you think you're going to lose weight and then figure out how to keep it off once you get there. You will not. The way you lose weight dictates how sustainable your results are. The way to get clear on this, there's a different episode 5 or 6 weeks ago called the gap exercise. Go listen to this. If you fall for that, I'm going to figure out how to lose weight and then keep it off how I get there. Go listen to that episode. It's like probably 89 or 90. And the idea is that you got to get clear on how you want to live after you hit your weight loss goal. What time do you want to wake up? What kind of foods do you want to eat? When do you want to eat? What kind of people do you want to spend time with? What do you want to do for fun? What do you want to do for work? Where do you want to live? And your only responsibility on a sustainable weight loss journey, well, that's not true. Your biggest responsibility on a sustainable weight loss journey is to do everything you can to start living like that version of you that already kept the weight off right now. That's sustainable weight loss. It's not losing weight and then figuring out, okay, now what? It's how do I want to live 5 years after keeping it off? The version of me that forgets they were ever fat. How am I living right now? What's the gap? What gap can I close this week? And you'll find that within 5 or 6 weeks, you can get to the point where if you were to write down everything that you eat and all of your internal dialogue and everything that you did for fun, all the people that you spent time with, all the time you spent online, if you just wrote down everything you did for a week, you handed it to someone on a piece of paper and said, guess my weight, they would guess that you were a healthy weight based on your actions and your internal dialogue. That means you have achieved sustainable weight loss. And then you just sit in the discomfort, which can be easier said than done at times, of my mind is already healthy. I'm already there. My lifestyle is already healthy. I'm already there. But my body's catching up over time, and it will soon. And I'm so excited, but I actually already feel pretty good. And that's an amazing deal. You deserve to feel that, and you can. That's sustainable weight loss. And you don't need to figure it out once you get there. You need to figure it out on the journey. There's really not another way. Reason number 12 why you keep gaining the weight back is you see food as an enemy instead of as a mirror. Food, again, is not the problem. Food is not an enemy. Food is love, connection, and culture. Food is one of the best things on this planet, and we were meant to enjoy it. But for you and me, people that have been quitting and restarting all the time, and lifetime dieters and chronic dieters and yo-yo dieters, food is actually the mirror. Everything you are looking for in life is in the journey of addressing your relationship with food. Food is mirroring to you parts of yourself that God, the world, spirit, highest self, whatever you want to call it, wants you to learn and implement to better and to improve yourself. So instead of looking at food as this enemy or this thing that you need to control, or even this thing that you necessarily need to take control back from, look at food as a mirror to you. What am I learning about myself through the way that I'm eating? What can I learn about myself from eating healthier? Sustainable weight loss is a spiritual journey of self-improvement, not a journey of restricting ourselves into food and just saying no until we get to our weight loss goal. Reason number 13 is you never learn how to eat like a normal person. And this is the hardest one for me because I didn't eat any fruits or vegetables or really any healthy foods at all for the majority of my life until I was in my younger to mid 20s. And I didn't know how to eat like a healthy person. So I actually thought that going and getting lean cuisines and doing this other shit was a healthy thing to do. If you were to actually look at somebody that was never fat, you're going to find that a lot of those, not everyone, there's still unhealthy people that were never fat. But if you know a healthy person and you just look at how they're eating, that's how healthy people eat. And that sounds so simple. Healthy people are eating mostly real foods and walking every day. Those are the biggest things. Just come back to simplicity. The simplicity compass is the way to do that. North, east, south, west. N, north is nutrition. E is east is exercise. S, south is sleep. W, west is water. Did I get that right? Yeah, it's water. NESW. Write that down in a compass. Everything that we're talking about is just a creative way to get you to believe that you're worthy of doing those 4 things in a healthy way consistently. So you start feeling overwhelmed, like, God, I don't even know, how are healthy people even living? It's like, you do know, just take a breath. You're just experiencing some overwhelm. You know that they're eating mostly whole foods in healthy portions. You know that they're exercising or just walking is a great place to start every single day. You know that they're sleeping probably 7 to 8 hours every single night. And you know that they're drinking a lot of water. That's how healthy people are living. They're prioritizing the quality of their food over the macros of their food. It's lean cuisines are not the same as the same macros of healthy foods. Reason number 13, why you keep gaining the weight back. I already said that. I lied. Reason number 14 is you think willpower is the answer. You will never will yourself, motivate yourself, or discipline yourself to permanent weight loss. Because the moment that life starts lifing at you and things start going all over the place, and I don't know, it's just a stressful time and the kids and the work and I don't know, the money thing. And then I'm like, and then we go back to turning to food. You need structure and a system that helps you create a world where food works for you instead of against you. So Sunday night, you might be like, well, Sunday night I meal prep. I set aside that 2 hours to get my meal prep for the full week done. I just discipline it through. But then, I don't know, this Sunday I was tired, so I skipped it and I'm just off this full week. I'll restart. That's an example of relying on willpower instead of structure. An example of relying on structure is like on the common sense diet, where you set up go-to meals that you can make in less than 5 to 10 minutes that you like the taste of, that already fit inside of your macros. So you never need to count them except for the first time. You just eyeball them forever. You have options for breakfast, lunch, and dinner so that regardless of how you feel or whatever you feel like eating, You're not on this strict regimen of like restricting yourself into shit that you don't even want because, chicken and broccoli are what healthy people eat. It's like, that sounds like bullshit. And you're going to end up quitting when you're not feeling motivated. When you rely solely on motivation, you'll realize that everybody experiences times of not being motivated. I experienced times of not being motivated to film a podcast episode. And like, then I started doing it and then I feel better, right? So motivation comes from doing the thing, not before doing it. But it also doesn't necessarily, well, it does, but it doesn't necessarily take me a ton of discipline to film a podcast episode when I don't feel motivated to do it. It's just something that I do. I don't have the game of like, okay, I gotta find a way to be more disciplined. I believe that I am the kind of person that releases a podcast episode every week. So there's not a question of, am I going to do that? I don't even have that. That conversation's not there anymore. When you start believing that you are a healthy person that has structure built around them that is fail proof so that it doesn't really matter how you feel or how tired you might feel, that's when sustainable weight loss happens. And the last and final reason number 15, why you keep gaining the weight back is you logic your way through emotions instead of feeling them, or you use food to hide from your emotions. It's pretty similar to that. You will never logic your way through an emotion. God, I'm so upset. Yeah, Barbara, but you shouldn't be upset, because it's really not that big of a deal. It's like, does that really make you feel less upset? No, makes you go home and then eat some bullshit. Well, it's like, whatever. I'm just gonna fuck it, whatever. It's a hard day, right? When you let yourself actually feel your emotion, and you can do this, everyone likes to do this a little differently. What I strongly recommend, and for my clients, is by putting your hand on your chest, closing your eyes, taking your breath, and doing a full body scan from your head down to your toe with one big breath. And ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? I'm feeling anger. Okay. Where are you feeling it? What does that mean? Like, where in your body are you feeling it? If you had to give it a place in your body, it's like my back and my shoulders and my chest. Okay. How does it want to be expressed? What does that mean? How does it want to be expressed? I don't know, Nick. I want to eat a piece of pizza. It's like, yeah, I've been there. I would have been thinking that if I was listening to this when I was fat too, right? How does it want to be expressed? If it had to be expressed, how would it be expressed? Probably fucking scream. Great. If when you grab a pillow and scream, that's such a cliche example, but when you grab a pillow and scream your anger into a pillow for 3 seconds and you really wrap that pillow around your face, no one even in the next room is going to hear it when you really put that pillow on your face. And you'll find that you have now moved through the emotion. You might even get more angry in the process, might take you a couple goes. You've actually moved through the emotion and released it from your body. That tension you had in your chest and your back and wherever else it might have been, and that anger that you were feeling, you can move through that without eating it to hide from it. As you build more comfort with your emotions, and that becomes more of a default way of thinking and of living in an action that isn't so uncomfortable because it can sound goofy if you've never done it, you'll find that you have much more control over your emotional state than you previously thought. And now you don't need to hide from your emotions anymore. Another example of this might be, gosh, I want some pizza. Why do you want the pizza? Because I had an amazing day. Like I just had an amazing, just like I went on a walk, with my partner and my kids or whatever, and like just had a good day, man. I just like kind of want some pizza. It's like, great, okay, well, what are you feeling? I'm feeling happy. I'm just like feeling smiley. Amazing. Where are you feeling that? In my face, I can't stop smiling, and my chest feels really light. My head just feels nice and light. Amazing. How does that want to be expressed? What do you mean? How does it want to be expressed? I want to eat a piece of pizza. How does it want to be expressed? I just want to dance. I want to dance. Amazing. Turn on a song and dance in the kitchen while you're cooking something. It's like, let yourself feel your emotion instead of eating it. Because a lot of the times that whole, like, I'm so happy, I had a great day, I want some pizza. That's the deserving. I deserve some pizza because I had a good day. I've been so good. And that's a version of self-sabotage. And you wouldn't sabotage yourself should you feel worthy of that feeling. And you'll feel more worthy of that feeling by letting yourself actually feel it instead of hiding from it, which can sound easier said than done and not popular. And why would I do all this shit, Nick, when I can just go keto again? Because you've already done that. And now we're 30-something minutes into somebody talking about how to keep the weight off, still going back to like, yeah, but I'm just going to count my calories and I'll figure it out tomorrow. If that's you, recognize your thought patterns right now and look at the 15 reasons that you just wrote down. Circle the ones that you fall for the most. And you'll find that it can look overwhelming looking at a list like this and hearing all of these different things. If you feel that overwhelm, that makes sense. What you might need is a system that helps you actually learn and implement these things in an order that makes sense for you. And that's what I did for myself with something that I call the common sense diet system. If you'd like to explore me coaching you through that same system so that these things become more default ways of thinking, and you want support and accountability to make it happen instead of just getting off the podcast episode and then going back to life and then kind of forgetting or throwing away the piece of paper, the things you just wrote, or sticking it in the desk, let's talk about it. Click the link in the description of this YouTube video or this podcast episode, and I'd be happy to talk to you about what that might look like. If you made it all the way to the end, thanks for being here. You absolutely have what it takes to lose weight. But even deeper than that, because you've already lost weight, if you've made it this far and then gained it back, you absolutely have what it takes to become the person that doesn't gain the weight back. And everything you're looking for in life is in the journey of becoming the person that truly puts obesity behind you for good. And I wish somebody had told me that that is actually possible. Thanks for being here, and see y'all next week.